How to prevent sudo users from running specific commands. I have a very sensitive network set up and I really don't want to mess up with it. My network consists of a bunch of users who are with sudo privilege. I want to stop them from running commands. Is there any way I can achieve this?
Using alias all will never be safe. There are 1,000 ways to run service network restart without doing sudo service network restart. Here is an example of what a naughty user might try. If you provide users with the all command alias, and then try to create a blacklist, they will always be able to find a way around it. Blacklist bash, and they will use Python. Blacklist Python, and they will use Perl. Blacklist Perl, and they will use PHP. Nobody wants that. If you really don't want someone to do something, you should do as Thomas says, and create a whitelist of things they are allowed to do. Setting up a whitelist with an exception. An example of a small whitelist with an exclusion can be found near the bottom of man sudoers. In fact, this example from the man page is unsafe and can be exploited to change root's password. See the comments below for how. We can try to adapt that to your case, to offer all service commands to the staff group, but exclude the service network commands that concern you. The all in that position refers to the host underscore alias, not the cmd underscore alias. Confusing, isn't it? The user won't be able to run sudo bash, or sudo t, or sudo vj, or sudo /path/to/ malicious underscore script. You can whitelist more admin commands for your users if you are careful. Just be specific. Note, I added the before the word network above, just in case a harmless flag is ever added to the service tool in the future. Let's imagine a verbose flag was added in future, then users would be able to run the following. So we need the to consume any flags before the service name. The one disadvantage is that this might block other services which you don't actually mind users running. For example, a service called Safe Network or Network Monitor would also be rejected. Let users edit a file using group permissions. Below you can find various attempts using Renano through sudo to let users edit a file or files. But really they are more complex and more dangerous than they should be. A much simpler and safer solution is to change the group permissions on the specific files that you want to open edit rights for. Here are a couple of examples. If you need more fine-grained control, for example, access for just 3 users, but not all staff members, you can create a new group using the addgroup command, and add just a few users to it. Let users edit a file through sudo. The remainder of this answer became an investigation into how easy it is to leave holes in your sudo configuration when trying to offer flexibility to your users. I would not recommend doing any of the following. If you want to grant your users access to edit a specific file, you could try using Renano. Renano will only let them edit the file specified. That is important to prevent a malicious user from editing a different upstart service, for example, /etc/init.d/urandom, and adding a line to it which would run, service network restart. Unfortunately, I did not find a way to restrict room sufficiently. The user can still open any file using column E, so we are stuck with nano. Unfortunately, allowing users to edit multiple files is much harder. Let the users edit multiple files, way more difficult than it should be. 1. Unsafe approaches. Be careful of wildcards. If you offer too much flexibility, or any flexibility, it can be exploited. In this case, a malicious user would be able to edit any other upstart service script, and then run it. Sudo does actually prevent and expansion on the command, but unfortunately not on the arguments. I was hoping something like this might work, but it is still insecure. Since sudo currently only offers glob patterns that will match anything, it is not a regex. Edit. I did consider if you might get away with the above in your situation, because there are no subfolders beneath sites available. We did demand one char be matched after the folder, and /.. should fail after a file name. However, this is not a workable solution, because Renano accepts multiple arguments. And anyway, in general this would still be unsafe on a folder which had subfolders. Even if we have no subfolders, and we exclude any lines containing /.. the rule offering a glob could still be exploited, because Renano accepts multiple arguments, cycling through them on an LT, CX and GT, and the space is happily accepted by the glob. 2. Pushing the envelope, also ultimately unsafe. So what if we reject any lines containing spaces, or attempting to reach /.. Then a final workable solution might be this. We accept anything under the folder, but we also reject any call to Renano if /.. or are passed, or if the folder is targeted directly. Technically the /.. exclusion makes the /.. exclusion redundant, but I have left both in for clarity. I found the folder and the /.. exclusions were needed because otherwise the user could target the folder itself. Now you might think Renano would block if pointed at a folder, but you would be wrong. Actually, my version, 2.2.61 Ubuntu 1, starts up with a mild warning and an empty file, then on and LT, CX and GT, asks me to input any file name I like to save to, opening a new attack vector. Well, at least it refused to overwrite an existing file, in the one test I did. Anyway, since there is no way to blacklist subfolders with sudo, we must conclude that this approach is again unsafe. Sorry users. This discovery made me doubt the thoroughness of Nano's restricted mode. They say a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. I am beginning to feel the combination of sudo blacklist black magic and Renano may be no more secure than a chain of daisies. 3. Safe but limited approaches. Globs are very restricted. They don't let us match a character class multiple times. You could offer multiple file edits, if all your file names have the same length, in this case host followed by a single digit. But if you want to give the user access to edit various files, you may need to specify each and every file explicitly. Do not be tempted to use A at any point. See sections 1 and 2 above for why. Remember, one small slip can compromise the whole superuser account and the whole system. 4. Write your own argument checker. Safety is now your responsibility. I hope they will add regex support to sudo in the future. It could solve a lot of problems if used correctly. But we may also need the ability to check the properties of arguments, to allow only files, only folders, or only certain flags. But there is one alternative to create flexibility in sudo. Pass the buck. Then write your own staff-edit script or executable to check if the arguments passed by the user are legal, and only carry out their request if they are.
The real answer to this is that you can't really prevent this. You might prevent someone malicious from accidentally running that command via the methods described in the other answers, but if someone really wants to run it and is on the sudoers list, they can run it. For example, they could do the following. Joe at box column $sudo bash. Root at box column # service network restart. Or another fun command they could use to circumvent your restrictions in the sudoers file. Sudo visudo. Long story short, if you can sudo and it isn't restricted to running particular commands, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Even if you restrict them to a given set of commands, you'd have to make sure that it isn't possible for the user to copy some other command that they wanted to run to the same name as one they had permission to run, such as by overriding the command that they have permission to run.
I have found the solution. I've opened terminal and changed into root user with su, then I have typed visudo to edit. Then at the end I have written lines like. Then I have saved an amp, closed and restarted too. Now if I am typing as service network restart, or service network manager restart, then it's not allowing me and giving an error like. And similarly for service network restart command also.
First, open the sudoers file with sudo visudo. Adding user all equals !user/spin/service will disallow the service command for user. Sources: this URL.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.